Time to take stock on a big economic story today, and not a good one. The economy has posted its biggest monthly job loss since the financial crisis of 2008. Statistics Canada says that our country lost more than 71,000 jobs in November, and as a result, the national unemployment rate ticked up to 5.9%. Now, this is surprising to a lot of economists who were predicting a modest gain of about 10,000 jobs and a steady unemployment rate. That did not happen. By the way, a very different story in the United States, where they saw a huge surge in jobs in the month of November. So a tale of two economies in North America. Moshe is standing by in Montreal. He's an economics professor at Concordia University. Moshe, what's going on here?
I think this is maybe undoing a little bit of the strong growth numbers that we saw for the first 10 months of the year. So, it's obviously not what people were expecting. I think we were looking for 10,000 jobs to be gained. 70,000 losses, obviously way off the mark. But there was a lot of good news for the first 10 months of the year. So maybe this is just kind of balancing out a little bit.
In terms of the sectors here that are jumping out for you, that had the biggest disappearances, biggest losses, really, I mean, what's your read here? Where are we vulnerable?
You know what? It was across the board. Only Ontario and PEI saw job gains. The other 8 provinces saw losses. The losses were in manufacturing, they were in goods, they were in services. I mean, there was pretty much nobody that was spared. So it was a very kind of uniform sort of loss. So, some sectors maybe a little more than others, but there was really nothing good in the report. And there was really nothing optimistic either going forward. It's going to make things interesting for the Bank of Canada in the new year.
And of course, the Bank of Canada keeping their key interest rate steady, unlike other central banks. Your read, if we can bring up the American numbers as well, of what's going on here, because the American numbers, I mean, they got 266,000 jobs created. And their unemployment rate has dropped down. I mean, look at this, 3.5%, which is really quite astonishing. What's happening?
Yeah, you know what? It's the economy that just keeps on chugging. With all of the trade wars and the tariffs and things like that, you would expect it to have some sort of knock-on effect on the American economy by now, and it just keeps going. It's the Energizer Bunny that it kind of defies explanation as to how they're able to do that. They are certainly pressing up against some sort of capacity constraint. So, as much as Canada's looks out of whack for being kind of a loss, this is kind of the opposite extreme, where it's inexplicably positive, and it really shouldn't be.
In terms of the significance of this, is this a one-time thing, or do you think we're looking at sort of an ominous trend here for the Canadian economy?
Well, you know what? I think things are going to be distorted by the Christmas season coming up, right? So December numbers are always notoriously kind of messed up because you have all kinds of part-time hires in retail and things like that. The issue is going to be, how does retail do this Christmas with competing like with Amazon and online ordering? If the retail numbers kind of hold up, then the jobs might be positive in December. It's going to be what happens in January, when things kind of die down from the holiday season. And that's going to really set in motion then where kind of the Canadian economy is heading. Are we going to finally see that recession that we've been talking about for so long, or was this just a one-off blip?
Yeah, tell me about that too, because you and I have spoken about it a number of times over the past couple of months about, either the U.S. or Canada or many other countries tipping into recession. What do these numbers mean on that front for us?
Yeah, Canada's economy is really reliant on 2 economies these days, China and the U.S. And as long as they keep fighting with each other, at some point it is going to have a knock-on effect here in Canada. So whether this was just kind of the beginning of that final reckoning, or whether this was just a one-off blip, the reality is that, in about a week's time, we're looking at possible tariff escalation between U.S. and China. At what point is that going to start to spill over into Canadian numbers and GDP, unemployment, and things like that? That's what we have to watch for, next week and once we get past the new year.
Moshe helping us take stock of this story. Thanks for this, Moshe. Always good to have you with us.
My pleasure.